If you were in the building and you were trying to make a perfect showdown in the AFL lab of football games, this probably would have been the game that would have been the dream production. It had intensity, momentum swings, fights for bragging rights, clutch goals, and a crowd that bayed for blood at the Adelaide Oval. And when the dust settled, it was the mighty Crom that just walked away with the 4 points, and a game that was a double-edged sword at all moments, led by Riley Thilthorpe in the air, Rankine's chaos and clutch moments, and a backline that bent but never snapped. We're going to break down what was an absolute South Australian showdown classic. So let's run that intro and get straight into it. So the final score then was Port Adelaide 12 goals, 12 behinds for 84. Adelaide 13 goals, 11, 89. And the Crows, they burst out of the blocks as they often do, dominating the first 15 minutes of football to lead 15-1, only to let Port open the door and come back to within 3 points at quarter time. Then it became a big, big battle of two great clubs. The third term, it was absolutely chaos. Rozee had a 50-metre penalty. He kicked the goal. Sam Powell-Pepper popped up with some intensity and some desperate forward half pressure. And Port took a 9-point lead, but the Crows responded as they often do, showcasing this new resilience that they found in 2025. Thilthorpe and Fogarty were an absolute handful, and by the final change, Adelaide had ducked their heads ahead. Then Rankine showed some magic, 2 goals in about 60 seconds, including a ridiculous finish that few will have believed, giving the Crows a handsome 21-point lead. Port did surge late, but the Crows held their nerve to see out the showdown by 5 points. Now, in a full-blown chess match that disguised itself as a barroom brawl, Port wanted chaos in congestion, Adelaide wanted chaos in transition, and both got that. Port's game plan, high handball volume, particularly in D50 and wings, to maintain the control and try and create overloads. Heavy stoppage focus, 149 contested possessions, plus 14 in the clinches, and 62 inside 50s. They went wide and shallow too often because Adelaide allowed that to happen, which helped them negate the pressure that built. A kick-to-handball ratio of 1.43, 5,988 metres gained. They travelled well, but never really converted when it mattered. Adelaide, their game plan is simple. Fast play on footy, kick heavy. 196 kick-to-handball ratio shows their intent, with very daring ball movement, vertical corridor kicks, and sharp switches to try and isolate Riley Thilthorpe in the forward 50. Only 41 inside 50s, but generated 23 scoring shots, with a shot efficiency inside 50 of 56%, 246. When they got it, they hurt. And that is it. They absorb, then they explode. It's like watching someone counterpunch out of a cage at times. They play a daring brand to allow you to come onto them, and then they use that against you. And then the turnover transition battle. This is where Adelaide win was. Despite Port's, most of the time, having large chunks of field position in this game, the scores are apparent. From turnover, 40 points for Port, 62 for Crows, 35 defensive half points for the Crows, 16 for Port. And from stoppages, Port did win that, 38-27. Adelaide's ability to create turnover chains and turn them into scores, particularly in the second and fourth quarter, were lethal. Worrell and Peatling, they set up behind the ball, allowing them to intercept and launch. Rankine and Rochelle, they push up high and then surge into space, hitting ground balls hard, and the forward line constantly rotates, creating mismatches, leading lanes. Fogarty, Walker and Thilthorpe are a problem, particularly against the modern-day high zonal press. Port, they just couldn't get their back half intercepts going, despite 149 contested possessions. To only win 38 points from stoppage, the kicking efficiency in the forward 50 was poor, and at times, because Adelaide pushed you out wide, Port had to bomb it long, which then makes it easy. Some of the matchups really liked. Bergman versus Dawson, that tag worked well. 14 touches for Dawson is his lowest of the year. It removed their distributor from them defensive half chains. Philthorpe versus Finlayson airily at both ends was fantastic. Riley did own the skies for 5 contested grabs. Finlayson at times had to work far too deep though. Philthorpe has that ability to play right on the goal square and then have a roaming role. And then Rankine versus Drew. Rankine stayed quiet for most of the game. But in the fourth, when the structure broke down and the game was there to be won, he pounced. An absolute masterclass from Isaac Rankine of taking your moments. And O'Brien versus Vicentini. Riley O'Brien, he gave Adelaide just the better follow-up at ground level, particularly around the clearances in defence. Although Dante, he won the clearances 6-2. What Riley does is he acts as that stopper and really stopped anyone overloading to the back half of the stoppages. Even though it wasn't a great game by Riley O'Brien, it was a very underrated game that he did his job as good as he needed to do. Tactical adaptations. You've got to look at Nix here. He shifted Fogarty to real high half forward, and that really clogged up Port's exits, but allowed them to have a conduit inside 50. That rotation from him and Tex probably won them the game. And Keys and Berry rotating almost as the extra midfielder, it really stretched Port's inside mids out wide and forced them to be a little bit slower and a little bit more wasteful. And Adelaide's ability to kick goals in clusters, they open the fat side and then they go back into the corridor when they have the mismatches. Rankine's 2 goals came from unbalanced defensive zones because of just how quickly they gained territory and moved the ball. Adelaide didn't win all the stat sheet, but they won the key moments, transitions and momentum shifts. And that right there is why they're such a threat in the arena of modern day footy. The 3 standout players then, Riley Philthorpe for Adelaide, 3 goals, 10 marks, 5 of them contested, an aerial beast, a constant bailout option, and he clutches up late. James Peatlin, for me, one of the signings of the season. 24 touches, 5 score involvements, 4 intercepts as well. 2-way runner, he links D50 to forward 50 so well. And Isaac Rankine, 2 goals in 60 seconds, one of them defying physics, 8 score involvements, 2 goal assists, and multiple pressure acts. He really takes his moments when he has to. Connor Rozee obviously won the Showdown medal, the first one from a losing side. 32 touches, 7 inside 50s, and a goal. He was very quiet at first, but really came alive in the middle portions of the game. Zach Butters for me, 33 touches, 6 score involvements, 10 clearances. The most consistent player they've got, an absolute gem, and one that doesn't get enough love. And Jeremy Finlayson, he was creative, and I thought he was damaging. They really need to get him deep, though, for me. When Adelaide pushed up, he didn't keep his depth, and that allowed them to really overload them. So some of the talking points. Rozee's medal. Is it deserved as the losing side? There were some real standout performances from Adelaide, but very, very impressive from the young man. Rankine's quarter 4. Is that one of the best quarter 4s we've seen in a showdown? Bergman's shutdown job, heavily wanted by clubs in the off-season. You can see why. And now Adelaide Crows lead the showdown 29-28. And they're rising up the ladder. And this is Ken's last stand. Do you think that Carr will be able to take the reins? Do you see him taking the reins during the season? Showdown's rarely disappoint in the AFL, and this one might go down as one of the best. Certainly one of the best I've seen. It had drama, it had controversy, brilliance, brutality, and at the heart of it, a Crows side who really make the moments count. Multiple goal kickers, daring kick-first strategy, and Isaac Rankine and Josh Rochelle moments of beauty. That's how you steal a derby, particularly one as big as the Showdown. From Connor Rozee's fingertip save, chaotic finish, it had everything. This was really footy theatre. So drop a like, chat, let me know what you think of it. I love this game. I'll see you later on this week. Peace, love and light. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe. Pommy out.
Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it in a sense, a feel of discontent.